Tonight, the frantic call for help.
911 location of your emergency.
Something is happening.
Chilling new audio obtained by ABC News of a surviving roommate calling 911 nearly 8 hours after 4 students were stabbed to death in this home near the University of Idaho.
Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
One of 2 surviving roommates is on the line, standing in the driveway, terrified and sobbing as she passes the phone to a neighbor who just arrived.
One of the roommates has passed out, and she was drunk last night and she's not waking up.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night.
The roommate is then heard again pleading with the dispatcher.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, but we gotta go check. But we have to.
You can hear the young woman coaxing her roommate back into that house, and they make their way inside.
Is he passed out? What's wrong? She's not waking up.
You can hear the anguish. For the last 2 years, the murder of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin have gripped the nation. And the lawyers for the alleged killer, Brian Kohberger, say he is innocent. The former PhD student was arrested weeks after the murders.
The defense has tried to cast doubt on one of the surviving roommates' credibility.
Today, the family of victim Kaylee Gonzalez defending the survivors in a statement saying that every breath, every cry, every tremor in the voice reveals a reality so cruel, so brutally honest, it cuts deeper than anything fiction could devise. Please do not waste your energy pointing fingers at those who could not have prevented it. Over the last few weeks, more evidence has been released, helping paint a picture of what happened that November night in 2022.
We're getting a different glimpse at evidence like DNA on their fingernails, text messages and phone calls, timelines that we never heard or saw before. The dots are beginning to connect.
Transcripts showing time-stamped text messages between the 2 survivors after one told authorities she saw a man clad in black in the home the night of the murders. The filing reveals she tried unsuccessfully to reach the victims. Between 4:22 and 4:24 a.m., the surviving roommates text each other. "I'm freaking out right now." No, it's like a ski mask almost. The survivor on the first floor texting back, "Run down here." It's unclear what happened next, but about 6 hours later, one of the survivors tries again but can't reach the victim's phone by text. Texting Kaylee, "Please answer." Texting Madison, "Are you up?" And just before noon, more than 7 hours after the murders, that 911 call is made.
In creating those kind of points of when communications occurred and when a time of death had occurred, prosecutors are able to drive home the fact that there was an opportunity and a time that these murders could have occurred and directly point at Brian Kohberger as being the individual based on his location, based on his cell phone when he traveled from one location to another, and that period when no one could track him.
Brian Kohberger's attorneys don't want the exchanges admitted during trial.
The defense is making the argument that this is hearsay, an out-of-court statement said for the truth of the matter asserted. But the prosecution is arguing the text messages, the phone calls. It's not meant to prove the contents of those messages, but to show a timeline, to show how people were reacting and how this murder occurred throughout the time frame that they're arguing.
Kohberger had been working on his PhD in criminology at Washington State University, about 8 miles across state lines from the University of Idaho, where Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan were just starting their futures.
They were all friends and had shared a life together in college and were looking forward to going on and hopefully doing great things, whether it was together or apart. And all of that came to a sudden halt.
The horrific scene unfolding the night of November 12th, 2022. Kaylee and Maddie, newly 21 and lifelong best friends, went to a popular campus bar around 10 p.m. They're later seen at the grub truck, laughing and ordering food. And this video appears to be the last time they were seen alive before turning in for the night. Authorities say their roommate, Xana, and her boyfriend, Ethan, both 20, were at a fraternity party earlier that same night, arriving home around 1:45 a.m. There's 3 stories to the house. Kaylee and Maddie were together in Maddie's room on the 3rd floor. Kaylee's dog Murphy was alone in Kaylee's bedroom just down the hall. Ethan was staying over that night in Xana's room, which was on the 2nd floor. One of the other roommates in the house also on the 2nd floor, and one in a bedroom on the 1st floor.
Everything was so normal in that home on King Road. Nobody could have imagined it was about to become a house of horror.
Police responding to a 911 call just before noon, hours after law enforcement say the murders happened.
When the lead sergeant goes into the house, he later told people how the high smell of blood rose up in his nostrils, and it took him back.
This is a brutal crime scene. These victims were not shot. They were stabbed to death.
What was baffling to police, they say, is that it didn't appear that there was any forced entry. It doesn't appear that any of the victims had been sexually assaulted.
And weeks later, Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania.
Last night, detectives arrested 28-year-old Brian Christopher Kohberger.
Since his arrest, prosecutors have maintained that surveillance footage, cell phone records, and DNA evidence link Kohberger to the murders. And the linchpin is Kohberger's DNA.
We're not just talking about his DNA happened to be found in, a dresser drawer or something. It was found on a knife sheath where 4 people were killed by a knife. This is as crime scene as it gets.
But Kohberger's attorneys have tried to have that crucial DNA evidence dismissed, claiming it was unlawfully obtained using public genealogy websites.
If you can upload one of these profiles for $12 and find out all kinds of information, how is that not a Fourth Amendment issue? That was done twice without a warrant in this case.
Kohberger's attorneys also argued that authorities violated the law when they used a garbage collector to retrieve trash from the Kohberger family home. It's in a gated neighborhood in Pennsylvania, and according to his lawyers, they did it without a warrant. The FBI allegedly using the garbage to make that DNA match.
I think it is different when you have the FBI telling the trash man what to do.
But prosecutors have argued all facets of the investigation, including the DNA and the use of public genealogy databases, were done properly.
The individuals who are utilizing these databases, and we're talking about millions of them, are willingly sharing their information with each other. The issue is that no one sharing this information with millions of other people could have a reasonable expectation of privacy.
And the judge siding with the state, allowing the DNA evidence to be presented to the jury. Kohberger's jury trial is slated to begin in August, and the 2 surviving roommates are expected to testify. His defense team attempting to strike down the death penalty on the basis of his autism spectrum disorder. For the family and the loved ones of the victims, the years-long nightmare continues as they just hold on to their memories.
Kaylee is like the definition of sunshine.
To know Kaylee was to love Kaylee.
Kaylee and Maddie had been best friends since 6th grade.
They did absolutely everything together. First dates, first boyfriends, graduated high school.
They had their first heartbreaks together. Kaylee was 12, 13 years old. They're blasting Taylor Swift in the basement, comforting each other.
If I had 1 or 2 words to describe Maddie Mae, it would be just an angel. She just made me proud.
Xana was in the same sorority as Maddie. She was dating Ethan, a freshman, and also a triplet.
My first impression of Ethan was he's just this huge dude that you wouldn't really approach, but as soon as you really got to know him, you realize that he's like one big teddy bear.
This case has been so fraught for so long now, for this small community and for a nation that has watched getting whoever was responsible for these killings, getting them brought to justice in whatever way the jury decides. That's what we're going to start to see this coming August.
Our thanks to Kana. For much more in this story, watch Impact by Nightline, the King Road Killings, now streaming on Hulu.